I'll never forget Thanksgiving Day 2011 at my Aunt Carol's house in Cleveland, Ohio. The whole family was there, turkey, mashed potatoes, football on TV. But in the middle of all the laughter, my cousin Mike leaned over and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Man, you're almost 25 and still broke? You're going nowhere." The room went quiet for a moment and then some of my other cousins laughed. My uncle shook his head. Even my dad, James, just sighed and looked down at his plate. That night, I drove home in my beat-up 1998 Honda Civic with a broken heater, thinking, maybe they're right. But then another thought hit me, what if they're wrong? By 2013, I was working double shifts at Walmart in Euclid, stocking shelves at night and pushing carts in the morning. It barely paid the bills. I shared a tiny one-bedroom apartment with a friend, just 5 minutes from my mom's house. Rent was cheap because we split it, but the walls were thin, the heater barely worked, and my mattress was a hand-me-down on the floor. Most nights, after dragging myself home from Walmart, I'd swing by my mom's place. She always had a plate of food waiting, spaghetti, fried chicken, sometimes just a warm bowl of soup. More than the food, it was her words that kept me alive. When I doubted myself, she'd say, "Don't let their laughter drown out your purpose. I see something in you they don't." Sometimes she even slipped me $20 or $40 for gas money, pretending it was just leftover change, even though I knew she was stretching her own paycheck to help me. Everyone else looked down on me, but she made me believe I wasn't crazy. Every spare moment, I was glued to my old Dell laptop, teaching myself graphic design and online marketing. I watched YouTube tutorials at 3 a.m., scribbled notes, and practiced until my eyes burned. Friends joked about me being the YouTube college dropout. Even my dad told me to stop playing with that computer and get a real job. But my mom kept saying, "This is going to pay off, trust me." In 2015, I caught my first break. A small diner in downtown Cleveland, Tony's Grill, hired me to redesign their menus and run a Facebook page. They paid me just $150. I went all in, took photos, made videos, ran ads. Within 2 months, Tony's Grill had lines out the door on weekends. Tony was thrilled and told everyone he knew about me. Suddenly, I wasn't just the broke Walmart guy. I was starting to build something. When I told my mom, she hugged me and whispered, "See, I told you. This is just the beginning." Between 2015 and 2018, I picked up small jobs wherever I could. Flyers for New Hope Baptist Church, a logo for Fresh Cuts Barbershop, a website for Derek's Auto Repair. It wasn't glamorous. Some clients ghosted me. Some never paid. I remember one winter in 2016, spending nearly 40 hours on a boutique campaign, only for the owner to vanish without paying. I wanted to quit. But my mom reminded me, you can't let one person's betrayal stop your blessing. Keep pushing. By 2017, I landed my first steady contract with Iron Forge Fitness, $500 a month to run their Instagram. That gave me momentum. Through them, I met Sharon Miller, a real estate agent who became a big client and plugged me into her circle. I missed birthdays, cookouts, even Christmas dinners because I was either working or learning. But every time I skipped, my mom covered for me, telling the family, "He's working on something bigger. You'll see." By late 2018, I had saved just enough to quit Walmart. With $800 in the bank, I filed for my LLC, Skyline Media Solutions. By 2019, Skyline Media Solutions was alive. But it wasn't glamorous. I had a few clients, but money was unstable. Some months I scraped by on $200. I drove Uber just to pay rent. And my family never let me forget it. At Cousin Sandra's baby shower, Uncle Richard asked me what I did now. When I said, "I run a marketing business," he burst out laughing. "So you play on Facebook all day and call it work?" Everyone chuckled. Even my dad muttered, "Boy, you should have stayed at Walmart." At Christmas, Cousin Mike handed me a Walmart gift card and said, "In case you ever want your old job back." Everyone laughed. That night I told my mom I was done. She sat me down and said, "They don't get to write your story. You do. One day they'll come knocking. And you'll remember this moment." Early 2020, I thought I finally caught a break. A local coffee chain promised me $5,000 for a full rebrand. I worked day and night, poured everything into it. 2 weeks before payday, they ghosted me. The owner blocked me. When my family found out, instead of sympathy, they mocked me. Aunt Carol shook her head and said, "Some people just aren't cut out for business." By February 2020, I was broke, my rent was late, and I sat in my car outside a gas station, counting coins to buy a slice of pizza, thinking, maybe they were right. Maybe I'm done. My mom found me that night. She handed me a warm meal, looked me in the eye, and said, "You're not quitting. Not after you've come this far." The storm always comes before the harvest. And then, COVID hit. Businesses scrambled to get online. Suddenly, everyone who laughed at digital marketing needed it. And I was ready. Skyline Media exploded. Clients flooded in. Restaurants, gyms, real estate firms, even small hospitals. What was once a side hustle became a lifeline for dozens of businesses. Within a year, I made more money than I had in my entire life. I bought my mom a house in Shaker Heights just like I promised her. I traded my Ford Fusion for a Tesla. And I bought my first rental property, then another, then another. By the end of 2021, I owned 3 houses, 2 duplexes, and a growing business empire. At a family reunion in Chicago that year, cousin Mike, yes, the same one who mocked me, pulled me aside. He had lost his job. Hey, think you could hook me up with something? Anything? He asked. I hired him. Not out of pity, but to prove I wasn't the same broke kid they laughed at. By 2022 and 2023, I didn't stop at marketing. I opened a small cafe in Cleveland, invested in a logistics startup, and bought into a franchise gym. My rental properties grew to 7 total units, generating steady income. Now the same family that mocked me wouldn't stop calling. Aunt Carol wanted me to pay off her mortgage. Uncle Richard wanted me to invest in his half-baked business idea. Cousin Sandra wanted me to co-sign her new car. But this time I had enough. I said, when I needed support, you laughed. Now you need me, but my help goes to the people who believed in me. Silence. For the first time they had nothing to say. Today, Skyline Media serves over 60 clients nationwide. I employ 20 people. I own multiple properties and several businesses. But the best part? Seeing the look on my mom's face every time she walks through the front door of the house I bought her. She was the one who saw the vision when no one else did. This comeback wasn't just mine. It was hers too. So if you're watching this right now and everyone's counting you out, remember, they don't get the final say. You do. Now I've got to ask you, have you ever had people count you out only for you to prove them wrong later? Share your story in the comments. I want to read every single one.